Welcome to the Three Musketeers, the sibling podcast that understands your Disney addiction. I'm Jared.
I'm Amanda.
And I'm Emily.
Tonight we're going to cover one of the, most revered Imagineers in Disney history, and that would be Joe Rohde. But first, we're going to do some trivia. You guys ready to play?
Yep.
Always.
Always ready to play. Okay. This one is going to be a toughie, I think. In which movie can you see a hidden Mickey? Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, Pinocchio, or Little Mermaid?
I feel like all of them.
I know, me too. That's what I was going to say. Is this a trick question? Because I feel like all of them.
All right, that's your first gut instinct. What answer do you think is correct?
So is E all of the above not a valid option?
That's not an option. I didn't type that in, so that's not an option.
Okay, just checking.
Okay,
making sure you're not trying to throw a fast one on us.
I think I know the answer. Then if there's only one, I think I know the answer.
What do you think it is?
I think that it's Pinocchio.
Why do you think it's Pinocchio?
Why do you think Pinocchio?
Because I'm pretty sure that I've seen something about a hidden Mickey in Pinocchio, like maybe in Geppetto's workshop or something. I'm not 100% positive. It's just sounding familiar, and I feel like I've seen it before.
All right. Amanda, what about you?
Well, I don't think it's the Little Mermaid, because the Little Mermaid has the hidden Goofy in it. So I don't think there's a hidden Goofy and a hidden Mickey.
Okay.
So that I'm going to take that one off. What other ones? So Pinocchio, I don't necessarily think it's Pinocchio. I could be totally wrong, but I feel like they didn't do that as much back then as they do now. So that's why I'm going to take that one off. So we have, what other two? We have Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin. I'm going to say Aladdin.
Okay. And why do you think Aladdin?
Because I don't really know that, but I feel like there are places that a hidden Mickey could be where it would fit in and you wouldn't necessarily notice it. Maybe like in the bazaar at the beginning of it. Maybe it could be a stuffed animal or something. So I feel like there are places that it could be, or also in the Cave of Wonders, it could be in there as well. And they would fit in easily and be hidden in plain sight. So that's why I'm going to say Aladdin.
Okay. Both very good logic. I am going to let you both know that neither of you are incorrect because it is actually all of these.
You can't do that. That is
right.
You cannot do that. You have to give us all of the above option.
Well, look, you need to look at it this way. You were going to be 100% correct. Either way.
Yes, but...
So this one was more of just like a fun one. Yeah, you were both right.
Not only that, did we both guess one that was already there, right? But we both said that we thought it could be all of them.
You did say that it could be all of them. You are correct.
I just thought that wasn't an option.
Exactly. We even asked.
I didn't say it wasn't an option. I just said I didn't write it down as an option.
Oh my goodness.
So you're welcome. Okay, so let's kind of touch on these real quick. In Aladdin, you can see when Raja turns from a kitten into a full-grown tiger after Jafar is beaten, you can see him turn into Mickey for a split second. Beauty and the Beast, there is a hidden Mickey in the library at the very top of the center bookshelf in the library.
Interesting.
Pinocchio, you were correct, Emily, in the thought that it was in the workshop. It was in the workshop whenever Pinocchio turns into a wooden boy.
Okay.
And then Little Mermaid, Amanda, you were on the right track. You said the hidden Goofy, but it is actually Goofy, Donald, and Mickey.
Oh, yeah, I've actually seen that, and I completely forgot that it is the three of them in that crowd.
It is.
I only remember specifically seeing Goofy, but that's cool.
Yeah. But for those listening at home, it's in Mickey, Donald, and Goofy are in the crowd when King Triton is riding into the concert hall.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
pretty cool.
So fun little trivia that we had this week, I think.
Yeah, so
I know how happy you guys are whenever you get it right. And this way, I let you know you are going to 100% get it right. So
moving forward from here on out, is it just a free-for-all? Like, it could be 2 of the answers, it could be 3, it could be all, it could be none.
No, I would not do that specifically to you. I would not be like, oh, this is a trivia where none of these answers are correct.
Well, today you did it where all of them were, and you didn't tell us that was an option, so we're not that far off.
Yeah, but this one was fun, and I gave you this one, so be happy.
Okay.
All right, well, I guess that's going to bring us into a history fact. Emily, why don't you go ahead and give us a history fact?
All right, for today's history, we are going to be talking about a fun Snow White fact. And this fact specifically is about Dopey, who I don't know about y'all, but he's my favorite dwarf in the movie.
He is super cute.
He's adorable. And he says literally nothing throughout the entire movie. He's just cute and funny, even though he doesn't say anything. But did y'all know that whenever they were first writing Snow White, he actually was supposed to be really talkative and a chatterbox? And they searched and searched for a perfect voice for him, and they just never really found the right fit. So instead of being kind of disappointed in the voice of Dopey, they just completely made him silent.
Wow.
I knew portions of that. I knew that he was supposed to have a lot of dialogue, but I didn't know the reason why he didn't have a lot of dialogue.
Yep. From the very beginning, all the Disney movies and everything, they want them to be perfect. And it's funny to see how something that, I feel like we all would have loved Dopey's voice. We wouldn't have cared, but for them, it wasn't quite perfect. So they just cut it out altogether. I think it's cute that he doesn't talk because it just adds to his personality and character.
His
so I think it worked out. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I wonder if he was always just talking like to himself or something. Otherwise, that may have been a whole bunch of stuff they had to change just because they didn't have a voice for him. You know what I mean?
They probably made that decision before they went into animation.
Yeah, he was probably, I guess his character, they just wanted him to be like goofy and talkative and a chatterbox. And then before they created the dialogue, they just cut it. I don't know though.
Okay. See, I was thinking it was already all written out and everything. And then they're like, oh, we can't find a voice. So now we need to cut this.
Oh, no, it's probably written out as a script, but just couldn't find the right voice. So
right. So what about the other characters that are supposed to be talking to him? Then they have to change that script as well.
Oh, yeah. They probably had to change the whole script, but they probably didn't do the animation yet for the movie. So
right.
But yeah, scripts get rewritten like all the time.
Yeah, but that seems like it would be a lot to change, like taking a whole character out.
No, it's definitely like a page 1 rewrite. And that happens a lot. So
okay,
it's not something that's completely unheard of, but yeah.
Like shows you how much I write.
They'll take the basic story and then they'll keep it and then just rewrite the whole script.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah. What's really funny is I almost made a trivia question around that specific trivia.
Really?
I did, and that would have been
I would have been
really
so
funny.
mad. I would have been so mad because your segment is before mine.
I know.
Well, see, this is what would have happened. you would have gotten the answer correct, and then you would have gone into yours and you'd be like, oh, look.
Yeah. By the way, guess what?
I could have
Here's
just
some
not
more
said
history
anything.
about it.
Yep.
All right. Well, very cool trivia. Amanda, why don't you go ahead and get into the tip of the week?
So this week, I want to talk about dining again. Big surprise. I feel like I talk about dining all the time.
Well, it is food. So, yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah. And
That's fine with
Disney
me.
food. Yeah.
It's my favorite.
So usually it is always pretty busy with the dining, especially the popular places. I know before COVID, Ohana was really popular. Obviously, Cinderella's Royal Table is always a big one, and Chef Mickey's as well. So some of these places can be really hard to get into. Well, right now during COVID, a lot of them are even more difficult to get into because they have limited capacity and everything's just booking up really fast. Not all the restaurants are open. So it's always really hard to find dining unless you're on there 60 days in advance, exactly when it opens. So I wanted to give a tip for anyone looking to make dining reservations after the 60-day mark, even some people who try to make them on the 60-day mark, especially for those popular restaurants. Right now, Topolino's Terrace, any of the character dining can be really hard to get. There are web pages that you can go to that actually track the dining. And anytime something comes open, it will message you and say, hey, this restaurant's open. And then you go log in and try to get your reservation right away. And there are actually like 5 or 6 different ones that you can go to do this. But the two that I know of are Touring Plans and Mouse Dining. And both of those are free. I've also seen some that you pay for, like $5 per day that you want to try to find on a reservation. But I would definitely try the free ones for sure.
Yeah, that seems like it's a better deal. Obviously.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty cool idea, especially if you work full time and you can't constantly be refreshing your dining. It'll just alert you and then you can log on right quick and try to get your reservation.
Yeah, I would definitely try to use these. I know a lot of travel agents for their clients, I do it, get on first thing in the morning and try to get all of those reservations. But this is a good way for people who aren't using a travel agent, or even if they have a travel agent and for some reason couldn't get one of these popular places, it gives them another option to try to get those.
Yeah, and we all know how the dining goes in Disney. So
it's so fast.
Yeah.
Those popular ones go so fast.
It's very good to be able to say that you have something or somebody who is watching reservations for you. And if you have the capability to get on immediately after you get a notification, then I think that makes it worthwhile. Even if you might have to pay a little bit of money, but I would much rather do the no cost options.
Right. And some of the no cost options actually send an email, and then some of the ones that you pay for may send you a text. So it kind of depends on if you can check your email regularly or if a text message would be a better way to get a hold of you.
See, text message is always better for me. My emails, I get so many emails and most of them are junk. So I usually ignore it. But text messages usually go through pretty good for me.
That's when you set up your special email address that is specifically for your dining.
Yeah.
And you get notifications and do push notifications for that email specifically.
Yeah, maybe, I guess, but that's just another email.
Hey, but it's
that
free.
will eventually get spam. All right, well, that is a very cool tip. I like it a lot.
Me too.
This week's segment of the week is This or That. And this week, I want to know, for the 50th anniversary, would you want to be there on the 50th anniversary on October 1st? Or would you want to go on some random day in January.
Okay, I'll go first. This is easy. I do not want to be there for the 50th anniversary. I would like to be there for the 50th anniversary celebration that's happening for
18 months.
Exactly. But I do not want to be there on the exact day. I was in Disneyland one time, not on purpose, but just on a random trip to California. Ended up going to Disneyland, didn't realize it was the 60th anniversary of Disneyland, and it was too crazy. And I don't want too crazy, so I will go and celebrate later. So that's my opinion on that.
There's something about being there on the day, right?
Right.
It's, I mean, that's fair. I think that's the sentiment, is there's something about being there on the day. I am not really one of those people who really care about, this is the exact day, right? Like, I mean, I don't celebrate my birthday on my birthday. It's usually on the weekend whenever I go visit family. So
we don't celebrate your birthday at all. Don't lie.
We don't. So yeah, I would probably say some random time in January.
Okay.
What about you?
For me, I will say both. That's not an option.
That's not an option.
Nope.
B or C,
it?
all of the above is not an option.
That only works for Jared's games, apparently.
Yeah, because my games are whimsical and fun.
Yeah.
Oh.
I do think that being there on the 50th anniversary would be very special. I think there will probably be things going on the day that are not necessarily going on the rest of the year, just because it is the 50th anniversary. So to be there on that day and feel the excitement and everything, I think would be nice. Also, this year is COVID, so we don't know what the capacity is going to be at that time. I don't think it's going to be 100% by then. It could be 50%, 75% maybe, but I don't think it's going to be as crazy as what like New Year's Eve is normally. So I still think that you would still feel a little more spaced out, even with it being the 50th celebration.
I have a question. If we're talking about like special merchandise that you can only get on the 50th anniversary day, maybe I can see going at that time. Like if we're talking about like a special limited edition pen, or Emily, if they had some limited edition ears that you can only get on the day.
No, I am not braving Disney on the 50th anniversary for ears.
Why not?
As much as I love them. No. I like to avoid the crowds if possible, and I don't think that it's possible on that day, even with the limited capacity.
Really? Even when 50%?
No, my mom said this past time at whatever percentage it is right now, she was like, it was crowded. So.
Yes, but if they are at 50%, there's going to have to be more open. They can't open at 50% with what they currently have. There's not enough restaurants at current capacity for them to increase to 50%, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So other things are going to have to open before they can allow more in.
Right. I'm still standing firm with my answer.
Okay. I think of all the times to go, whenever there's a limited capacity for a special celebration like that, that's the time to actually do it.
The 50th anniversary is a big deal, and they're going to have a lot of new attractions open, and I'm sure there's going to be special shows and fireworks and merchandise and all of that stuff. But To me, it's not the biggest deal to be there on that specific day. Whenever I can still go a little bit later and enjoy some of the celebration, not all of it, but some of it, I feel like that's more worth it to me.
Okay.
I'll just say this. Disney, if you're listening and you have a special limited pen, count me in.
Well,
Oh,
you're
my
already a
goodness.
little late. All the passes are gone.
Oh, no.
So-
Disney, invite me specifically.
Yes, I mean, that's the thing. If I'm invited out, I will not say no. I will brave those crowds.
Well,
Let's get that straight right now.
Yeah, let's find a way to get invited.
Do we qualify as media yet or no?
Yeah, we're media.
Yeah, where's our media pass?
Can we get a media pass?
Yeah, we're media. I mean, I would say we're media. Disney might have another couple different
idea.
requirements of how you would get media passes, but I would say we're media. All right, well, I guess Amanda, you say October for the actual anniversary.
I'd go on the anniversary.
I say it's a toss up depending on what kind of
That
merch
is
I
not
can get.
one of the
It's not.
answers.
I'm gonna go ahead and stick with January until I figure out. Hey, we're having this one specific thing that you really want, and then Emily, you said January as well. So
Unless I get a media pass.
a media pass, yeah. I think we would all
Let's
go with
remember
media
that.
passes. Yeah. So Disney, make that happen. All right. Well, I guess that brings us into our main topic. Our main topic, like I said earlier in the episode, is all about Joe Rohde. I know that we all love Joe Rohde because he has accomplished a lot in his 40-year career with Disney. He just recently retired in January, which is pretty upsetting, but I'm really looking forward to him doing more things in his life that he wants to do, and not just be with Disney specifically. So, how do we want to do this? I kind of went through and researched and did kind of like chronological order, like how he grew up and where he grew up and how he got into Disney. I don't know that we really have to focus. I mean, obviously we could do a deep dive on Joe Rohde. He has
we
40
could be here
years
for a long time.
Yeah, he has 40
Yeah.
years with Disney. He is just over 60. So talking about his lifetime, there's a lot of information. So there's going to be some stuff that we just don't go over about this guy and his awesome career that he's had. But first, I guess I wanted to mention he was raised in Hawaii until he was about 12 years old. And that's when they moved to California. And that's really like the first time he actually went to Disney. So he was never really into Disney or thinking that he, wanted to work for Disney. Like who really does whenever they're, that young. But moving to California and, going to Disney was something he did. So.
Yeah, and I actually heard that, or I guess I read that whenever he was living in Hawaii, the way that he got started in art and being really interested in art was that his parents had a friend that was a pretty well-known artist, and he actually did some work for Disney or had some sort of connection with Disney. And it was just kind of the fact that Joe Rohde ended up working for Disney and this guy had this connection to Disney. But yeah, he would go over to this guy's house and do art. Like they taught him, and his son taught him how to paint and draw and things like that in Hawaii.
That's
which was
very
cool.
interesting.
That is cool.
So I guess what I kind of wanted to start mostly with how he actually got a job with Disney. So he was teaching at a theater department for San Fernando's Valley Chaminade College Preparatory School. It's a Catholic high school. And one of his students' fathers was a Disney executive, and he heavily recruited Joe Rohde to go and work for Disney because he saw some of his art and some of his models, and he was like, you really need to go and work for Disney. So Joe actually did not want that. He did not want to go work for Disney at first. And he just was finally convinced to submit his portfolio to Disney, and Disney hired him.
Can you imagine being that good that Disney came to you and said, hey, I want you to work for me? I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was reading that his first job at Disney, he ended up working at Epcot first on the Mexico Pavilion and I think also the Norway Pavilion. But he was just a scenic painter and a model designer, which he has mentioned was kind of a like bottom of the totem pole, entry level Disney job. And he felt very intimidated by all the other people around him, and he felt like he wasn't as good as them. And
look where he went.
Exactly. And very quickly he started moving up and caught like the higher up in Disney's attention, and they were like, wow, this guy is really something special and more than a scenic painter and model designer.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, let's, I guess, talk about some of the projects that he's worked on. Emily, you've already mentioned a couple with, the Epcot, Mexico Pavilion, and also Norway, but he did obviously a lot of other things. He designed Animal Kingdom. That's the big one.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
amazing.
think that's what he's like most well known for.
Right.
And along with that came the Pandora edition after, Animal Kingdom had already opened years later. But he also did Alani, Expedition Everest. I'm already mentioned Pandora. And also one of the things that I can forgive him for, he changed Tower of Terror to Guardians of the Galaxy.
But only at Disneyland.
Only
Right.
at Disneyland.
I'm telling you, whenever you get the opportunity to ride the ride, you will love it. It's amazing.
I'm sure I will. I have a lot of confidence that I will actually like that ride, but
It's
Tower
really
of Terror,
great.
as long as they keep it at Disney World, I'm perfectly fine.
So taking it back to Animal Kingdom, because I know you were talking about Pandora and stuff, but he also, and you also mentioned Expedition Everest, but yeah, he was the lead Imagineer for Expedition Everest, and he went to the remote Himalayas for like months and months and months, like spent so much time there just studying so that he could make Expedition Everest and the queue and everything about it as authentic as possible. And that's something that like I find really neat and inspiring about him, is that he spent a lot of his time traveling to be able to take his travels and put them into his work at the parks. And it really, really shows, especially with Animal Kingdom.
Yeah.
Right.
And one of the
same
really
with
cool
the-
things
Go ahead.
about, so if you know who we're talking about, you know the iconic left earlobe that Joe Rohde has. And that is, he would always add artifacts whenever he went and traveled somewhere. I think he said that his first one was like his 5-year pen from Disney. He just started that, and it just kind of continued.
Yeah, it sounded like it started like as a joke
Yeah.
at first with his 5-year pen. And then he was like, oh, okay. And just kind of started adding on to it from there,
Yeah.
which I think is really cool.
It really is.
Yeah, he seems like a very cool guy to get to know.
Right.
Yeah. I
Very
agree.
interesting and had an
Yes.
interesting life,
Yeah,
I think.
definitely.
Yeah. I mean, who wouldn't want to travel for work to some of these destinations that he's been to and stay for a long time and design stuff around the places and the culture and everything. So
Yeah.
he's definitely led a very interesting life with Disney.
Definitely. And Jared, you had mentioned Alani, but since he grew up in Hawaii, I thought that it was really neat that they put him on the Alani project, because growing up there, I feel like you see a different side of the island and like you get to know it more personally and can put that into your work. And I thought it was really neat because he had said that whenever he lived in Hawaii, he wanted out of Hawaii and he thought of it as like a place that he wanted to escape because his family was a like lower income family. And he ended up getting out of Hawaii and making this amazing name for himself and then coming back to work on that project. And I mean, I've never been to Alani, but it looks beautiful.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, designed around the culture as well.
Yeah.
And I don't think that they could have picked anybody better than Joe Rohde to do that.
Definitely.
Right.
So one thing about Animal Kingdom, since we were already touching on that topic, somebody had asked him specifically about Black Panther and Wakanda going to Animal Kingdom and if he thinks that it would fit. And he actually had a pretty interesting response. And this is from I think it was a Twitter post that he had. He said, "How does the subject advance conservation advocacy? Is the IP inherently about animals and nature? Will it comprise a photorealistic look of the park? And Wakanda is mainly about human concern, so why at the quote-unquote animal park?" So two things that you kind of get from this post, at least two things that I kind of get from this post is one, something that we all already knew is he is, concerned about conservation, obviously. And two, just kind of the ins and outs of how he looks at a park in particular and how he would fit something into that world. So specifically saying, hey, Animal Kingdom is the animal park and Wakanda is about humans and, their struggles and what they're doing. And it doesn't necessarily fit in the animal park.
And it's interesting that you're talking about this because I always look at Pandora and think, why is Pandora here? It doesn't fit Animal Kingdom. There's no animals. How does it fit? But now that you're mentioning the conservation part and everything, it totally makes sense and fits there. It just never crossed my mind that that's why it was there.
Yeah.
Until you just mentioned that.
Right.
Yeah. I think that it's really neat to see that he was trying to stay true to what the park is supposed to be and was supposed to be originally and not just flood it with IP. Because, I mean, obviously, if they put a Wakanda section in the park,
people would go, definitely.
It would be flooded with people. But at the same time, I like that he's sticking with what the park is about and just knows that that doesn't fit the message.
Yeah.
He does, but does that mean the rest of Disney does? That remains to be seen.
That remains to be seen, for sure. And you never know. They could put something in Animal Kingdom because, I mean, Joe's retired now. So
right. And that's what scares me. And whenever he announced his retirement, that was my first thoughts because I know that and I'm sure there are other Imagineers there that have the same values and opinions as he does on
I can guarantee
the parks.
Everybody respects Joe so much from the Imagineering department that they would probably have learned under him so much.
Right.
So I would think that they have the same kind of mindset.
Yeah, and I'm sure that there are people that are fighting for those things, but it just worries me because he's such a big name and he's done such amazing work, and it is sad to lose him to another company.
Yeah. It's very true. But I mean, 40 years with the same company is an extremely long time.
Especially these days.
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm sure that obviously he has his reasons. I'm sure a bunch of them as to why it was time for him to move on.
Yeah. So I think that kind of touching on this topic about him, retiring and all that, I think it would be a good time to bring up his Instagram post about whenever he actually announced that he was going to be retiring. So his post said, 40 years is a long time. And this strange, quiet time seems like the great opportunity to slip away without too much disruption. If I wait, I will once again be in the middle of another huge project, and by the time it's done, I would be truly old. So it sounds like he might have had this thought to retire from the company earlier, but really just never had the right time to.
Yeah, because I mean, Pandora was like, I know that he's had other projects that he's worked on, but like the last really big one that I can think of was Pandora. And honestly, that wasn't that long ago. And that project took years and years and years.
I want to say it took like 7 years.
Yeah. So, man, but Disney just is losing
such a creative, creative, amazing person. Yeah, I agree.
Well, hopefully there's going to be somebody who steps up and fills Joe's shoes.
Oh, I'm sure there will be, but nobody's going to be exactly the same.
No, obviously not exactly the same, but hopefully somebody who learned under him and holds the same values that he did.
Right. Now, there's something else that I found that was very interesting to me. Not necessarily his resume, but it's something that he did. He was actually the model for Harrison Hightower, who is the fictional character from the Tower of Terror at Tokyo Disney Sea.
Yeah, I did see that as well. And if you
I just thought it was really cool.
Yeah, if you look at the picture, it's almost a spot-on image of Joe. It's really interesting. But I think what's funny about it is if you look at the character, so the character is part of the I can't remember the name of it, the Sea Explorer, the secret society. He is actually a part of that, but he is like a darker portion of the secret society, and he collects artifacts and antiquities, but he does it in a mischievous way. So I thought just the character design and the backstory was very interesting to go along with Joe and how he collects artifacts himself and puts them on his ear. So I thought that was very interesting and and part of Tower of Terror. There you go.
Yeah. And he helped create the Secret Society of Adventurers and Explorers.
Yes. And that is the name of it. Yeah.
I was going to say that I had read that society actually kind of got its start from the Adventures Club that he had a huge part in creating. Do y'all know what that is, the Adventures Club?
No.
Okay, so you know how they had, like, Disney used to have nightclubs? Like, they had a teen nightclub and they had, like, a regular nightclub?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Adventures Club was a nightclub, and it was modeled after a private club for travelers of the 1930s. And he created that club, and then the Secret Society of Adventurers and Explorers, I think I got that, was kind of modeled from that.
That's pretty cool.
That is cool.
Yeah.
I do remember about like a teen nightclub whenever I was going in the 90s or something. I never went, but I do kind of remember something vaguely about that.
Yeah, the Adventures Club was built in 1989. So, and I know that through the 90s and early 2000s, like it was popping.
Actually, I didn't remember the name of it, but I remember hearing about that and wanting to go so bad, but you had to be 21 to go. So once I turned 21, I so wanted to go, and I believe it was already closed by then.
Probably so.
It's disappointing
Just
because
was
I heard
not
it was really
fated to
cool.
be.
Yeah.
So I really only have one other thing that I wanted to bring up about Joe Rohde, and that is that he voiced Alexander Graham Bell in The American Adventure.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I saw that. I thought that was pretty cool.
Wow. Huh.
Because he is kind of a well-rounded, artsy person. I don't know what else to say except
Creator.
artsy.
He's a well-rounded creator.
But he does more than create, though, because he also acts and things, too. I mean, he taught acting and things. He's very well-rounded in the arts.
There we go.
Which is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So like I said earlier in the episode, we could talk about a lot of interesting facts about Joe Rohde. I know this one was a little bit shorter than we probably could have made it, but we didn't want to go into his entire life, but we wanted to touch on some of the main portions of his Disney career for sure. And I'm sure there's some stuff that we're probably missing out on. So if you know an interesting fact about Joe Rohde and you want to share it, you can get in touch with us at T3M Podcast on all social media platforms. So what about you guys? Do you have anything else before we call it a night on this one?
I think I'm good.
Me too. Like Jared said, I mean, we could really dive into this one, but this would be a very long podcast. And I think that it was fun and important for us to do a podcast just kind of honoring his legacy at Disney now that he's retired.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, obviously, do some research on your own about Joe Rohde. It's amazing what he's accomplished in his career with Disney, and be expected of him to achieve more things after his Disney career.
Definitely. He's really interesting to listen to as well. So if you can find interviews with him, even better, because he's just a really, you could listen to him tell stories and talk all day.
Yeah, it seems like a very genuine person, really happy to share his story, and you can find a lot of his interviews on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
There was also a documentary that Disney did whenever he was creating Expedition Everest, so that would be a good one to watch, too.
Definitely.
And what's the name of that?
So that's actually a documentary from 2006, and it was on the Travel Channel. And it's called Expedition Everest, Journey to Sacred Lands.
Okay, very cool. He was also a part of the Imagineering story on Disney Plus.
Right.
Yep.
So check those two out. I'm going to go and look at the one about Expedition Everest for sure, because Expedition Everest is my second favorite.
Yeah, I love that ride.
I do too. It may be on Disney Plus. I haven't looked though.
I know, me neither, but I'm definitely gonna find out this week and try to watch it.
I feel like I would have seen it because I go through the documentaries.
I do too. And the documentaries are recommended to me because that's like all I watch on there. So I feel like I would have seen it, but maybe it slipped through the cracks. Yeah,
we'll see. If you see it, let me know, because I'm interested in watching it.
Okay.
All right.
All right, well, that's going to bring us into mousekeeping. So we want to promote our YouTube. You can find us at bit.ly/T3M YouTube, and that's all lowercase. We do our live streams on YouTube and also on Facebook. You can find us at T3M Podcast on Facebook. And we do pretty much what we do here on the podcast, except a little bit different. We take a main topic and we talk about it. So join us on our live streams if you have not done that yet. Send us a review. If you love the show, let us know. Leaving us a 5-star written review is the best way to let us know how we're doing and if we're covering the topics that you want us to cover.
When you're ready to plan your next Disney vacation, I'm here to help. You can contact me for your free no obligation quote. And remember, my services are always free. You can find me on Facebook at Amanda.Hollis, Capture the Magic Vacations, and you can find all of my contact information in the show notes.
Join us for our next episode releasing Thursday, the 8th of April. We will be talking about some of the new rides coming to the U.S. parks. Be sure you're subscribed to the show so that you're updated when a new episode comes out every other Thursday.
Okay, that's going to do it for us tonight. Thank you all for listening. You can be a part of the magic by following the show at T3M Podcast on all social media platforms. That's T3M Podcast. Leave us a 5-star written review and we'll read it on an upcoming episode. If you have an announcement that you would like to have on the show or just want to reach out to us, send us an email at t3mpodcast@gmail.com.
Have a zippity-doo-dah day.
See you real soon.